With just 50 cents left, she saves the alpha at auction. What happens next will inspire your heart. Mia Thompson stood at the edge of the local auction, clutching her last 50 cents like a lifeline. The town once thrived with laughter and warmth, but as the years wore on, shadows loomed over it, mirroring the heavy weight on her heart. With her father's health failing and her younger brother counting on her, every day felt like a struggle. Yet today held a glimmer of something she couldn't quite identify, a desperate hope. As the bidding began, Mia's eyes drifted toward the center of the ring, where a majestic alpha horse was being paraded. Its coat was once glossy, glimmering like gold in the sun. Now it was dull and matted, the signs of neglect etched into its weary body. The crowd murmured, some out of respect, others out of pity. This creature could have been a symbol of everything the town stood for: strength, pride, a shared dream, but now it felt like a ghost of its former self, just like her family and their crumbling home. Do it, Mia, she whispered to herself, her chest tightening. With resolve swelling within her, she raised her hand. 50 cents, she called, her voice trembling yet fierce. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and some laughed at her audacity. But as the auctioneer's gavel came down, the astonishment lingered. The alpha was hers. Returning home, Mia found the horse waiting, trembling with mistrust and fear. It mirrored the townspeople's doubts about her. Who did she think she was? Just a girl with big dreams and dwindling resources. But Mia refused to be defined by others. She spent late nights caring for the alpha, brushing its coat and whispering soothing words, as the moonlight danced upon them. As she worked, she felt the pulse of possibility beginning to beat in her chest. Then came the news that shattered the fragile hope she had built. The beloved community center, the heart of their town, could shut its doors forever. Without it, families like hers would be lost. Mia's heart sank, torn between two missions: save the alpha or protect the town that had given her everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then Victor, the wealthy neighbor with a sharp suit and sharper intentions, got wind of Mia's dream. Dreamer, he scoffed, trying to cut her down, his words dripping with disdain. Yet in that moment, Mia felt the fire inside ignite. I won't let you take this from me, she shouted, determination spotlighting her as the townsfolk began to gather. This wasn't just about a horse or a center, it was about all of them who felt silenced and dismissed. Suddenly whispers of support warmed the chilled air, and hope began to rise again. But challenges loomed, and as reality pressed in, Mia faced the greatest test yet. Could she rally her neighbors, overcome Victor's ambitions, and discover the unity hiding beneath the surface of their collective frustration? As Mia clutched the lead rope tighter, the stakes soared even higher, intertwining her despair and hope more than ever. Would the alpha's spirit inspire the community to thrive? Or would fear trap Mia, suffocating the change she so desperately sought? With the cracks forming one last time around her plans, she stood at a crossroad, unsure of which path would lead her home. Mia stood there, the chill creeping into her bones as the townsfolk murmured around her. Each face reflected a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. They had watched as she raised her hand, as if defying the odds. Now they were waiting to see if she would actually bring the alpha back to life, or let it fade away like so many dreams before. Do you all see this? She said, her voice rising above the crowd. This horse is more than just a creature to us. It represents who we are, a community that won't give up. We can revive both the alpha and the community center if we work together. We've lost too much already. Her words hung heavy in the air, carried by a gust of wind that rustled the leaves overhead. A few neighbors exchanged glances, a spark of recognition crossing their faces. Maybe they felt it too. Maybe they had been waiting for someone to grasp that thread of hope. Victor stood to the side, arms crossed, a sneer plastered on his face. And how exactly do you plan to save a horse and a community center with nothing but good wishes? Enough of this nonsense. We need practical solutions. He gestured dismissively, His confident stance a stark contrast to Mia's undeniable passion, but Mia, undeterred, focused on the flicker of interest lighting up the eyes of her neighbors. We organize. We hold events at the community center to raise funds. We spread the word, tell our story. If everyone pitches in, we can bring this town back to life, and we can save the Alpha. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and a few brave souls stepped forward. I can help with the advertising, said Mrs. Jensen, the local bakery owner, a warm smile spreading across her face. I'll bake for the fundraiser. Mia felt her heart swell. Each word, each gesture added fuel to her fire. If they could come together, maybe they could create something greater than any of them had imagined. Absolutely. We can host a fair, Mia exclaimed, her excitement growing with each idea that tumbled from her lips. Games for the children, horse rides, and maybe even a contest for the best pie. Families will come, and we can charge a little something for each activity. It will show the town's heart. We've lost too much to let it go any further. The crowd erupted in a chorus of agreement. She felt power surging through her, knitting her together with the people she had grown up with, who had laughed and cried beside her. Unity began to replace despair. But even as hope glimmered on the horizon, Mia couldn't shake a growing concern. Victor would not sit idle while the community reinvigorated itself. He was a wolf in a sharp suit, and she knew he had plans of his own. As she turned back to the Alpha, now munching on fresh hay she had brought, she felt a pang in her heart. She needed to protect it, to ensure it thrived alongside her community. The days that followed buzzed with activity. Flyers went up. Hordes of kids gathered in the park to practice for contests. The barn behind her house was alive with laughter as Mia and her neighbors all worked together to fix it up. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that the closer they got to their shared goal, the more Victor would tighten his grip. One sleepless night, she stared through her window, watching the moonlight dance on the Alpha's coat, thinking about the challenge ahead. What did it really mean to save her town? As dawn broke, a newspaper dropped on her doorstep, and Mia held it up like a trophy. The headline read, "Local Dreamer Raising Funds for Community Center." But the moment she flipped to the next page, her heart dropped. There was Victor smirking in a glossy ad, announcing his plans to revitalize the downtown area. How deep were his pockets? And how far would he go to crush her dreams? The very air felt electric with uncertainty. Could Mia really unite everyone against this looming threat? The Alpha neighed softly behind her, as if sensing her worry. She reached out instinctively, grounding herself in its presence. But were they facing a storm they were unprepared for? That question lingered heavily. As she stepped out into a new day, determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead, Mia breathed in the crisp morning air, the scent of dew mingling with freshly cut grass as she walked towards the town square. Her mind raced with thoughts of the upcoming fair, and the new challenges that were now looming over them. The townsfolk's enthusiasm had ignited a spark within her, but Victor's looming presence felt like a shadow, threatening to snuff it out. She glanced at the flyer pinned to the community board. Save the Alpha. Community fair next weekend. The vibrant colors and hopeful words danced off the paper, but doubt lingered like a dim cloud. What if Victor undermined their efforts? Shrugging off her worries, she approached the familiar faces of her neighbors setting up stalls, their laughter providing a comforting rhythm to the day. Mrs. Jensen was already arranging pies with precision, while Mr. Hawkins struggled to erect a tent. Need a hand? Mia offered, stepping in to help. Only if you can reach the top. These things just don't want to cooperate, he chuckled. Together, they wrestled with the canvas and slowly, as the fabric unfurled to reveal the bright colors, Mia felt a renewed energy pulse within her as people began to trickle in. Mia spotted a group of kids running towards her. Mia, show us how to make the banners. They called out, their faces ablaze with excitement. Sure thing. She grinned back, beckoning them over. She grabbed a few paintbrushes and sheets of paper, their laughter ringing through the air as they began to create. Each brush stroke felt like a declaration, a commitment to a future they were crafting together. But between helping neighbors and painting banners, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that Victor was watching, waiting. When she looked up occasionally, she half expected to see him lurking in the shadows, perhaps plotting his next move. The date of the fair edged closer, pulsating with anticipation. Yet every single day her unease grew. She overheard snippets of conversation in the grocery store, whispers of Victor's big plans for the downtown area. How could they compete against something that could reshape their community overnight? One chilly evening after a long day of organizing, Mia found herself wandering the quiet streets. The moon hung low, casting a soft glow on the Alpha's barn, and she felt drawn to it. As she entered, the sight of the horse calmed her racing heart. She rubbed a hand gently over its neck, feeling its warmth seep into her palms. You know, Alpha, she whispered, it's not just about you. It's about us, about everyone here. I want to let you fade away. We can't let ourselves fade away either. The Alpha's soft whinny echoed back to her. Just then her phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a text from Mrs. Jensen. We need you at the town hall. Urgent. Mia's heart raced as she sprinted toward the building. She arrived to see a small crowd gathered, faces tense. Victor stood at the front, his expression smug as he revealed his long-suspected plans, a megamall that would replace the community center. A project backed by investors eager to cash in. Fury ignited in Mia's chest. You can't do this, she shouted, her voice breaking through the murmurs. This town needs its heart. We want to let you pave over our dreams. Victor turned, eyebrows raised. And how exactly will you stop me, Mia? With your little fundraising fair? But instead of retreating, she felt fire in her belly. We'll show everyone what a true community can do. We're stronger than any scheme you can throw at us. A wave of agreement swept through the crowd. Voices rose, united against the looming threat. But just as Mia felt hope swell, Victor smirked, eyes glinting with mischief. Oh, it's going to be interesting. As Mia stood there, caught between newfound courage and the looming storm, she realized the fight was only beginning. The question now was, how far would Victor go? And what would they be willing to sacrifice to protect their home? The answer hung heavy in the air as the meeting settled, tension palpable, and a sense of urgency began to rise. Time was running out, and the real showdown was just around the corner. Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she stepped away from the town hall, the weight of Victor's words echoing in her mind. The community had rallied around her in that moment, but doubt crept back in, gnawing at her gut. What if it wasn't enough? The following week passed in a whirlwind. Preparations for the fair consumed every waking moment. The townspeople poured their hearts into baking, crafting, and organizing. Mia found herself at the center of it all, juggling responsibilities and trying to keep spirits high. On the evening before the fair, Mia gathered the volunteers in the community center. The room buzzed with excitement, yet she could sense an undercurrent of fear. The stakes felt higher. What if Victor does something to sabotage us? One of the volunteers murmured, glancing at the door like it might swing open any second. I want to lie, Mia said, stealing her voice. He is powerful, but we can't let his threat overshadow our message. We believe in this place. We believe in Alpha. They all nodded, but she could still see the flicker of uncertainty in their eyes. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mia took a moment for herself. She wandered into the barn again, seeking solace with Alpha. The horse seemed to sense her troubled mind, nuzzling against her, offering comfort. I'm scared, she admitted aloud. What if we lose everything? The soft rustle of hay and the quiet breathing of Alpha wrapped around her like a warm blanket. A sudden clatter from outside pulled Mia back to reality. She stepped out into the cool air, heart racing. There, lit under a dim streetlight, she saw a group of teenagers hanging around, laughter bubbling between them, and Victor's smug grin lurking among them. What are you doing? She called out, anger flaring. Victor turned, his eyes glinting. Just checking in on the little fair. Heard it's going to be a laugh. Mia advanced, fists clenched at her sides. You think this is funny? Destroying our community because you want to line your pockets? He laughed, a hollow sound. Oh, Mia. You think this merry band of misfits can fight me? I'm offering progress. You're clinging to nostalgia. Clinging to nostalgia? She stepped closer, feeling the fire inside her blaze hotter. This isn't about nostalgia. This is about our home, our history. You think a shiny mall will take its place? His smirk faltered just for a moment, but he regained his composure, tossing a dismissive hand. Good luck at the fair, Mia. I'll be waiting to watch you fail. As Victor's group dissolved into the night, Mia felt hollow, Yet a pulse of resolve began to build again. They had fought this hard. She would not back down now. Morning dawned bright and vibrant. The fair visitors amassed as Mia arranged the final touches. The atmosphere was electric with laughter and chatter, but anxiety still fluttered in her chest. Then she saw a poster on the wall. Auction at 2 p.m. Save the Alpha. As the clock ticked, Mia's mind raced. The barn, the beauty, the heart of the community, all condensed into that moment. When the auction began, she found herself at the forefront, bidding with everything she had. But just as she grew excited, the phrase $50 rang out from the back, and panic gripped her heart. Her limited savings disappeared in an instant. But she had one last chance. She rummaged in her pocket and found 50 cents. Will I save Alpha? She held her breath and hoped. The crowd hushed, glances exchanging simmering curiosity. Would she really marry desperation with hope for just 50 cents? Mia's palms felt clammy, her mind racing with impossible decisions. Would folks come together for a chance? Or would Victor's threat loom larger than her dreams? As the auctioneer turned to her expectantly, she knew a truth. In that moment, she wasn't just bidding for a horse. She was fighting for everything she believed in. But would it be enough? An unspoken question hung in the air as Mia prepared for what might be the greatest gamble of her life. The silence pressed down on Mia, heavy and electric. All eyes were on her, whispers lingering in the air like fragile butterflies. The auctioneer raised an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement playing on his lips. Mia swallowed hard, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm. 50 cents, he echoed, almost as if to challenge her certainty. Felt like a joke. But to Mia it was everything. All that she had left. Taking a deep breath, she lifted her chin, the heat of determination sparking her resolve. I'll bid 50 cents, she declared, her voice steady. For Alpha. For our home. The gasps from the crowd mixed with murmurs of doubt, but Mia held her ground. She could feel the weight of their stares. Some were rooting for her, while others were unsure. Victor's smirk flickered in her mind, but she shrugged it off. Victor, with all his money and power, had never understood the heart of their community. The auctioneer looked around, as if searching for someone to take the bait. Anyone else? For a moment no one moved. Then from the back an unexpected voice rose. $1. A familiar figure stepped forward, her childhood friend, Olivia. Mia's chest tightened. Olivia had always been supportive, but this was big. All right, the auctioneer called, enthusiasm burning in his tone. Who will take it to $2? $2. Another volunteered. The excitement was building again, and Mia's heart danced between hope and fear. $3. This time it was a couple from down the road. Mia knew them well. They had been sweethearts at her parents' wedding. Their faith lit a fire in her chest. It wasn't just about numbers anymore. It was a wave of solidarity washing over her. As people recognized that saving Alpha was saving something bigger: community, history, roots. $5. Someone shouted. Mia felt her spirit lift. With each bid, her nervousness turned to fervent hope. As the amounts climbed higher, Victor's presence in the back of the crowd felt less weighty. The memory of his laughter, once so cutting, now turned to a dull echo as passion infused every heart around her. Soon the bid soared past the $30 mark, a figure that had started to feel almost impossible. Mia held her breath, glancing over at Olivia, who was now cheering her on alongside others. $50. That familiar voice came again, unmistakably Victor's. The crowd quieted as every head turned in his direction. The air thickened, tension crackling like a summer storm. Mia's heart sank. Victor, she called, challenging the sound of his name as if it were a spell. So it comes to this. $500? A shiny mall or an old barn? 50. He shot back, the arrogance in his tone cutting deep. You can't compete. The murmurs in the crowd changed tone, unease settling as Victor tried to manipulate their spirits. But this wasn't about money. This was about heart. Mia's eyes darted over her friends, reading their expressions. She saw hope, heartache, but more importantly determination. We are worth more than dollars and cents. A ripple of agreement spread, loud enough to shake the ground beneath the auctioneer. Anyone for 51? He asked, his voice trembling with the crowd's energy. I'll take it to 51. Mia yelled, her voice rising above the wave of excitement her words invoked. The auctioneer's eyes lit up. $51 for Alpha. Can I get 52? Mia's heart raced, nerves dancing wildly. When the next bid came, it sent a thrill through her as the tides began to shift. $1 at a time they were reclaiming their future, collectively pushing against Victor's greed. The crowd buzzed with renewed energy. Victor looked livid, but that only fueled Mia's fire. Would they really risk it all for Alpha? Sweat gathered on Mia's brow as the tension reached a pinnacle, yet hope ignited within her striped heart. And as the bids climbed, she realized her 50 cents had sparked a flame of unity, but could it outshine Victor's greed? And as the moment grew heavier, each heartbeat echoed with the question looming in her mind. What would happen if they won? A turn of fate was about to unfold, one that would change everything. The tension in the room felt like a rubber band stretched to its limit. Mia could hear her heartbeat pounding in her ears, a thunderous reminder of everything riding on this moment. Would they really pull together to reclaim Alpha? Could they push past the weight of Victor's riches? Each new bid sent electric jolts through the crowd, pulsing with the promise of hope, a hope Mia needed now more than ever. $51 for Alpha. Do I hear 52? The auctioneer's voice rang out again, his excitement almost infectious, but Mia could sense Victor's displeasure lurking just behind her like a shadow. One by one, familiar faces in the crowd joined the bidding. A neighbor from down the street reluctantly chimed in, $52. Their courage ignited another round of support. 53. Yelled someone with a booming voice. It was surreal. Mia felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. Each bid wasn't just a number. It was a loud declaration of their love for Alpha, a testament to the town's resilience. She had thought this fight was lonely, but as she stood there, the power of unity roared around her. Victor shifted his weight, his face flushed with building frustration. You think this means something? He sneered, his words dripping with disdain. It's a farm, nothing more. Just a relic. Mia spun around to face him, fire igniting behind her gaze. No, it's our roots. It's each family's story tied together. Alpha is our home. Her voice rang with authority and desperation, cutting through the tension like a knife behind her. The crowd began to murmur, caught up in her sentiment. They were not just bidding, they were fighting for what Alpha represented. A legacy. A heartbeat. A future. 54. Chimed in Olivia, her arm raised high with undeniable confidence. The crowd erupted in cheers, urging each other on. Mia's heart swelled. How had she ever doubted them? Then in a rapid turn, Victor dramatically threw his hands in the air. $100. $100. His voice boomed, his confidence returning with a rush that silenced the auction house. The collective gasp was palpable, like a sudden chill sweeping through the room. Enough was enough. Mia could feel their hope wavering, but she wouldn't let it fizzle. She took a deep breath, grounding herself. This was a battle of hearts, not just wallets. Let us show him what we're made of, she shouted. The crowd's faces shifted from doubt to defiance, their embers fanned by her words. 200. A brave voice called out from the crowd. 300. Another followed, bolstered by the surge of confidence. As the bids climbed, Mia could see Victor's facade crack. Anger mixed with an undeniable worry, and she relished the sight. Each new bid chipped away at his smugness. But as the bids hit 500, Mia felt a wave of panic course through her. Did they have the strength to go further? Victor's resolve was now alert and desperate. The stakes had never been higher. $600. Victor shot out, his voice sharp as a whip. He was relentless, willing to crush their spirit with his wallet. Mia felt her stomach drop. Fear washed over her. Could they really keep pushing? Could they outlast him? 600. The auctioneer echoed. Any more bids? With every second the tension grew thicker, Mia unsure of how her community would react. Would they falter under the weight of Victor's wealth? But she knew they were more than that. Mia felt a fire ignite in her belly again, this time stronger. It was fear, sure, but also the unshakable belief that they deserved this. Suddenly, her voice rose above the anxious murmurs. We can't let him win. This is about so much more than money. Silence fell over the crowd. Eyes fixated on Mia. Did they understand? Did they believe? And then from the depths of her chest, the part she didn't expect came tumbling out. What is Alpha worth to you? Think of our roots. Think of our home. Was her rallying cry strong enough to pull them back together? Would they dare to challenge Victor one last time? In that electrifying moment as hope hung in the air like a fragile balloon ready to burst, Mia felt the swell of unity ripple through the crowd once more. The stage was set for the closing bid, and she understood it wasn't just her fight anymore. It was their fight, and they were ready for whatever came next. But would they risk everything one last time? The ultimate challenge awaited. The air crackled with anticipation. Mia sensed the crowd's heartbeats sync with her own, a collective rhythm echoing the urgency of their fight. Victor, now visibly agitated, glared at the auctioneer as if willing him to end this nonsense. But the auctioneer simply smiled, eyes twinkling with intrigue. $600 won. Twice. That S when Mia felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Olivia, her expression fierce but encouraging. We can't let him take this from us, Mia. Not now. Mia nodded, resolve settling deeply in her bones. They had come so far, and the thought of losing Alpha gnawed at her heart. This wasn't just a plot of land. It was where they grew up, where laughter rang out during summer evenings, where sorrow found solace in shared tomatoes from the garden. 700. A voice cut through the tension. The crowd gasped and a thrill shot through Mia. Who was that? She turned to see Dave, the shy guy from the bakery down the street, standing tall, almost glowing with newfound courage. The auctioneer grinned. 700, do I hear 8? Mia watched as more voices chimed in. 800, came a voice from the back. Then another 900. It was as if a dam had broken, each bit a declaration woven tighter through the fabric of their community. Victor's face darkened, his pride cracking under the pressure. 1,000, came his icy retort, but it lacked the bite of his earlier bids. The fear that pulsed in the room shifted. The tide was turning. They could feel it. Mia's breath hitched as she scanned the room. She had ignited something deep within them, an understanding that they were worth more than Victor's cold, hard cash. They were worth everything. Do we have another? Can we take this home? The auctioneer prompted, waving his hands to rally the crowd. With every heartbeat, Mia felt the weight of the moment. Come on. For Alpha. For us. She shouted with everything she had. And then a voice rang out loud and clear. 1,100. It was Helen, the grandmotherly figure who had fed them all during their childhood, her face beaming with fierce determination. The crowd erupted in cheers. Mia's heart soared. Hot, grateful tears spilled down her cheeks. They were doing it. They were standing together against Victor's greed. But Victor stumbled, fury dancing in his eyes. This isn't over. He shouted, slamming his palm against the bidding table, the sound piercing through the joy enveloping Mia and the others. $2,000. He barked, desperation seeping into his voice. A hush fell. Shockwaves rippled among the crowd. Could they withstand such a high bid? Mia felt a mix of fear and defiance swirling inside her. Let him have it. What are we going to do? Someone murmured, uncertainty shadowing their voices like a dark cloud. No. Mia cried out suddenly. We won back down after coming this far. What we have is worth so much more than a number. Do we want Alpha? She asked, her voice rising above the wavering doubt, and a chorus of voices echoed back in fervor, yes. Mia locked eyes with Victor, steely determination shining in her gaze. You may have money, Victor, but you'll never have our heart. 2,050. She shouted, surprising even herself. It didn't matter how impossible it felt. It mattered that they were fighting for everything. The hall trembled with energy, a wild reverberation of pure hope. Would they really up the ante against Victor's deep pockets? Fear mingled with exhilaration as they waited for a response. Mia held her breath, praying her community felt the same fire igniting within her. Victor's brow furrowed, his confidence faltering as murmurs spread among the crowd. The stakes were illuminated now. They had every reason to fight for Alpha. Could they turn the tide back in their favor? Would the whisper of hope transform into a thunderous roar? And as the auctioneer's voice boomed through the hall again, Mia knew the moment had come. Would they seize it together? Or would they allow Victor's sway to overshadow their dreams? 2050 once. Twice. The auctioneer's voice boomed, a rhythmic reminder of the stakes, drawing every soul in the room into a suspended moment, all breath held tight. Mia's heart raced. She could feel the tide of uncertainty washing over her, threatening to pull them back into the shadows of defeat. She scanned the faces around her, searching for the flicker of hope that had ignited moments before. It was there, a silent promise locked in their eyes. 2050 going 3 times. The auctioneer's eyes flickered to Victor, who hovered at the edge of a breaking point, fist clenched around his paddle. 3,000. Victor's voice erupted, piercing through the air like a dagger. The crowd recoiled. Fear spread, an icy wind touching their hearts. Mia could see in their faces the weight of despair creeping back in a heavy shroud that threatened to engulf them all, but she couldn't let it. She pushed through the crowd, feeling Olivia's hand slip firmly into her own, grounding her. "Mia, we can't," Olivia whispered, a thread of doubt weaving into her voice, but Mia wouldn't hear it. "Can't you feel it?" she pressed, urgency filling her chest. "We're not just bidding for land. We're reclaiming our memories, our home. We are Alpha. Together." The words poured from her, fueled by more than just desperation. One by one, the buzz of determination hissed back to life in the room. 3,000, do I hear 3,100? The auctioneer probed, defiance lacing his tone. It was now or never. 3,100. Helen shouted, her voice strong and clear. Mia felt a swell of hope ripple through her. This was their moment, it needed to be enough. The crowd erupted in an enthusiastic roar, each voice bolstering the other. The echoes soon wrapped around Mia, lifting her spirit higher. 3,200, shouted Olivia, her face electrified with conviction. Mia felt the warmth of community wrap around her. Each voice was now a beacon, a lighthouse amidst the storm. They were standing against Victor, whose pride crumbled with every passing second. Victor glared, disbelief etched across his features. "You think you can beat me?" The confidence in his voice crackled like glass, dangerously thin. "They believe in Alpha." Someone from the crowd shouted. "We won't let you win." 3,500. Victor barked, frantic now, desperation feeding his fury. The crowd recoiled, the air electric with tension. Mia steeled herself. She could feel it building, a collective strength pooling amongst all of them, like pressure in a voluminous balloon. It needed to be released. All it took was one more moment of courage. 3,600. Mia yelled, the words tearing from her throat as if they held the power of their pasts. The crowd surged with her, voices clamoring, everyone rallying as if hopes and dreams wove themselves into each bid. The auctioneer looked stunned. The chaos swirled around him as he struggled to regain control. 3,600 going once, twice. Silence. The anticipation thickened, clenching the room in its grip. Victor's composure shattered. "I can go higher. $5,000. His voice was a torrent spilling out like a last resort. A gasp echoed through the crowd, a wave of shock crashing down on Mia. In that moment she saw not just the money but the life that hung in balance. Alpha could slip away. This wasn't merely an auction, it was the very essence of their lives. Mia turned to her community, the faces that had battled alongside her glowing with determination. "This place is worth it. Our stories are worth it. We can't turn our backs now." Together. The crowd erupted. 5,100. Someone shouted, charging the atmosphere. Mia could hardly breathe, heart hammering in her chest. Could they really fight back against such a raised bid? All their hopes danced on the precipice, trembling like the fragile leaves of a tree before a storm. And standing in the midst of it all, Mia felt the weight of history shift beneath her feet. What if this moment slipped away? What if Victor's fervor doused their flames of hope? But the flame was alive. As the auctioneer lifted his gavel once more, Mia leaned in closer, holding tightly to the hands of those beside her. They were more than a community, they were a united front. And just like that, as the words began to rise, fate hung by a thread. Would they find a way to match Victor's desperation? Or would this moment slip through their fingers? 5,200. The auctioneer's voice trembled. A last chance to grasp hold of everything they had ever fought for. And then the unexpected happened. The overwhelming tension in the room seemed to hold its breath. 1,000 eyes fixed on the auctioneer as he prepared to call for bids once again. Mia could feel her palms clammy, every heartbeat echoing like a war drum. She turned to her neighbors, each face mirroring her own unease. There was a collective strength building among them, a silent vow that they wouldn't let Victor take Alpha away. 5,200 going once. The auctioneer's voice cut through the silence, each word a reminder of the stakes on the table. The breath of the crowd was held tight. Going twice. Mia's thoughts raced. Where would they find the strength to go higher? How could they fight back against Victor's barrage? She knew this community had its resources, but could they pool enough together to match or even outbid him? 5,300. Shouted a voice, the air tense with uncertainty. It was Tom, an old friend, who stepped forward, shaking with the thrill of bravery and fear. Victor sneered, scoffing at the small rebellion. 7,000. He barked, his voice thick with contempt. You could hear his disdain slicing through the fragile atmosphere. Mia stood there, feeling the ground beneath her shift. 7,000. The room was still, the crowd stunned. It felt like the wind had been completely sucked from their sails. The hope that had been building began to flicker, like a candle about to be snuffed out. But then she felt it, a spark. Mia raised her voice. Everyone, think of what Alpha means to us. We can't let our roots be severed. An echo of agreement sparked back to life, people shifting restlessly, confidence unfurling like flowers in spring. One by one, hands rose, voices joined in a powerful symphony of purpose. 7,100. Helen shouted again, her voice ringing out like a bell of defiance. Beside Mia, Olivia squeezed her hand, eyes wide with hope. We can do this. 7,200. Mia cried, propelled by the unity of the crowd. They became a force together, they were strong, indomitable. The auctioneer raised an eyebrow, glancing at Victor, who was visibly turning red with irritation. The stakes had shifted. With bids to 7,200 going once, Victor's mask of arrogance faltered for a moment, then snapped back into place. 10,000. He roared, fear and desperation mixing in his voice. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mia felt the chill run down her spine. This was not just a game to Victor, it was personal. The silence that followed was a vacuum, drawing the life from the room. Mia's heart pounded heavily in her chest. She took a deep breath, steeling herself against the mounting pressure. We have to believe. She called out, more to herself than anyone. 10,100. There it was again, that voice, this time coming from Mary, one of the elder women in Alpha. She had always been a well of wisdom, known for her no-nonsense spirit. The crowd erupted once more, the collective heartbeat strong and unwavering. 10,200. Came another shout, but this time it was a chorus. Everyone rose to the occasion, joining the fight with dollars that represented more than just money. They were snippets of their future, the stories they cherished, the memories they held sacred. The auctioneer's gavel rose again. As he glanced from Victor to the vibrant sea of bids flooding in, Mia felt a flicker of hope grow stronger. All that was left now was that final blow. Would it be enough? 10,500. Victor hesitated, wavering for just a moment. And then, for the first time, overpowering doubt clouded his eyes. 10,600. Mia shouted, her voice ringing with defiance, pulling the crowd in with her. We will not back down. The room thundered with their collective support, shouting one number after another. Victor's eyes widened, fury etched on his face. They were not yielding in that moment. The reality settled thickly over them, simmering with possibility. Would this be the bid that finally put Victor in his place, or would he summon one last act of desperation? As the auctioneer prepared for what could be the final call, Mia felt the weight of her community behind her, ready to reclaim their home. Going once, going twice. What would it take to finally silence Victor's roar? Could they hold on to this fleeting chance? The answer hung in the balance, stronger than the storm outside. As the crowd waited with bated breath for what came next, Mia's heart raced as the auctioneer's voice echoed, each word wrapping around her like a lifeline. 10,600 going once. The crowd leaned in, a steely determination shining in their eyes. It felt like the room itself held its breath, the tension thick as molasses. Mia couldn't help but be filled with hope, that infectious spark of unity lighting up the faces around her. Going twice. The world felt frozen. She could see Victor's expression twist into something she could only interpret as desperation. His fingers gripped the paddle tightly, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for a miracle. 10,700, shouted Mrs. Jensen, her fierce voice breaking through the charged atmosphere, sending another ripple of energy cascading through the crowd. A collective cheer erupted from the townspeople, their resolve tightening like a bond forged in fire. They were doing this together. They were fighting for more than just Alpha, they were fighting for their history, their hopes, and a future that shone brighter than any mall Victor could build. Victor stumbled back, fury flickering in his eyes, a tempest of frustration brewing within him. 12,000. He called, his voice a desperate crescendo. The crowd held its breath once more. Mia could feel uncertainty drifting like smoke, but she wouldn't let it sink her ship. This was their moment. We can do this, she urged, standing firm as she clutched the hands of those beside her. We're standing for family, friends, and memories that matter. 13,000, shouted Tom, fired up by her words, encouragement pouring from his lips like a powerful wave. The energy surged. 15,000, yelled Helen, her spirit lighting up the room, igniting everyone around her to take a stand. Mia felt tears flood her eyes, her heart swelling with pride. This wasn't just a battle. It was a declaration of who they were together. Stay strong, she whispered to the people around her. 15,000 going once. Going twice. The auctioneer's gavel hovered as anticipation crackled in the air. 15,300. Victor shouted, but his voice had grown shaky, almost desperate. The crowd erupted in a chorus of support. We won, let you take our home. 15,500. Came Mia's own voice, startled yet powerful. The surge of community behind her was electric, their resolution a tide that could not be stopped. Going once. Going twice. The space echoed with hopes and dreams hanging in the balance. All eyes locked onto the auctioneer's gavel. Would they really succeed? In that moment, Mia could see their history flashing in her mind, families gathering, laughter echoing through the streets, the warmth of community dinners. It was all going to be worth it. 16,000. Victor bellowed, his arrogance slipping ever so slightly. But the wave of determination only grew stronger. 16,500. A voice shouted from the back, instantly followed by others stepping up with courage. 17. 17,500. The excitement crashed through the room like an unstoppable tide. Mia grabbed Olivia's hand and squeezed tight, both trembling with emotion. This is it, she breathed. We are Alpha. The gavel was poised in the air, the final call lingering like a breath suspended in time. The community had come together, igniting a force stronger than money, a spirit built on love and history rather than profit. Going once, the auctioneer's voice was steady, a magical rhythm pulsing in the silence that fell over the room. Going twice. 18,000. Victor yelled, desperation veiling his voice. The crowd gasped, a wave of disbelief washing over them. The struggle between Victor's wealth and their hope felt insurmountable. But Mia raised her chin, feeling the strength of her neighbors behind her, a collective heartbeat echoing rather like thunder. 18,500. She shouted, her voice ringing clear, refusing to let despair take hold. The auctioneer's hammer hung in the air again with heightened tension. Going once, Mia held her breath. Going twice, Victor's composure cracked, rage and disbelief intermingling. Before him stood an unwavering force he couldn't combat with dollars alone. Sold to the brave community of Alpha for 18,500. The roar of jubilation shattered the stillness, erupting in cheers as Mia and her friends jumped into each other's arms. Tears streamed down her cheeks, laughter and joy blending in a beautifully chaotic symphony. In the background, Victor turned away, his face a mask of fury twisted into a bitter smile, watching for the final time as the community who had felt silence found their voice. Their spirit couldn't be crushed by greed alone. Mia felt as if the entire world had shifted in that glorious moment. She'd saved the Alpha, but more than that, she had come together with her community, reviving their spirit and goals in a world that had seemed so dark. Together they could build a future. Together they would create the heart of Alpha. As laughter, hugs, and cheers echoed down the streets, Mia understood something crucial. This meant more than just winning a bid. They had rekindled hope. And they were unstoppable. Now it is your turn to be part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. We need you. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.